Welcome back, everyone. We are now joined by another soccer enthusiast, Diego. Thanks for coming on.
Thank you. And so, good evening.
By the way, he's a Man City supporter.
Yes, man.
So
yes.
we go at it in debate
I'm talking
often.
to you, Diego. You're forgiven. It's okay. I'm a Liverpool supporter.
Oh,
yep. That's another reason why we're such good friends.
All right. Well, thank you for having me, everyone. Hello, Mr. Adam Canfield. Thank you, Dr. Rico.
Thank you.
So for my question to him is, so I know that you've been in the book and literacy thing for a while. So I wanted to ask, was there a specific author or book that motivated you to become an author?
Ooh, that's a very good one. Do I have to limit myself to one?
No, you could say which one you love.
I think the person who motivated me to write about soccer, that was definitely Nick Hornby. You know, Nick Hornby is the author of Fever Pitch, which is one of the best books about soccer supporters. Nick Hornby himself, he's a British author. He's from England. I think he's very famous because a lot of his books, like About a Boy and so on, have been turned into movies. And Fever Pitch is the lifelong relationship with Arsenal FC, which is his club, the one that he supports. And if you are an Arsenal supporter, you suffer a lot because they're always like about to make it to the title, and then the last 4 weeks of the season, they just lose it. So, and the way he writes, so this kind of passion and the way he handles language, and even if you're not into soccer and you're not a Nick Hornby type of person, he really drags you into the story and you start liking it. So, and I think that's what a good author does, that he opens a world where you go like, I'm not interested in this. And then you're into page 5 of the book. And then suddenly you're onto page 100 of the book. And you didn't really know how you got there because you just couldn't stop reading. So and I think Nick Hornby is a great author for that. And he's definitely the one that motivated me, at least to write about football.
Okay, that was a good question. I have to check out that book now.
Yeah, I wrote it down. Yep.
Motivated you.
Yeah.
All right, then.
Now, I do have a question as well. I know that when you're close to and around people who have trouble with the language that dominates the environment, you can kind of grow this desire to, within your endeavors, help those people who also struggle with the language. So I'm wondering, how have your connections with non-English speakers influenced the desire to kind of create this bridge between non-English languages and English, especially in soccer, you know, and in other things as well?
Okay. I think there are two things. So first of all, as I said, soccer English is a specific register. So I think you have a lot of non-native speakers who know their on-pitch commands, like what you mentioned earlier, and their English outside the pitch is maybe not that great, so which is quite interesting. On the other hand, I think non-native speakers really shape the way that we speak English these days. When we think about the number of people who speak English professionally, for example, at university and when traveling, and we have something like 2 billion non-native speakers and 350 to 400 million native speakers. So people like me who grew up with English and German, and a lot of people whose first language is Spanish, and I think a lot of our contestants for the about your favorite soccer player, their first language was Spanish. You can see that it shapes the way that you use English. And I think the most important thing is not so much to focus on the accuracy of the language, but to focus on how well people express themselves in the language. How easily are they understood? You said earlier, communication on the pitch is everything. Yes. So it's not really important if it's grammatically correct. Yeah? So you just have to make it clear that you want the ball now because you're in the best position to score. Yeah? So I think that's something that's quite interesting when you think about this. And my learners bring in their first language, and I speak about 4 languages. I'm learning Spanish myself at the moment, which is very important. If you want to be a good language teacher, you should learn languages because then you understand where your learners see the difficulty. And I think that helps because I can understand what is difficult in English for my learners. So I can anticipate that and use some scaffolding and bridging to help them to express themselves better in English.
I'll jump in real fast. I was just thinking about as you were answering that question, even if you don't know the language in soccer or football, would be even sounds that you make, like yeah, or whatever, whistles or whatever, body language, which is a form of communication. And I just think that even if you're not comfortable with the verbiage, you can still communicate, and that builds confidence to move forward, right? So it maybe be baby steps with sounds and body language, then progressing into the actual verbiage to be able to better communicate out on the pitch. Awesome. Go ahead.
Yeah, that's all really great. We do have another question. This time it's going to be from a student submitted. That will be Diego's.
Yes, ma'am. And the question will be, so because of the World Cup is coming up
And
eventually.
who was the question asked by?
The question was asked by Jose Ramirez
Mhm.
from Mr. Montez's class. And because of the World Cup is recently coming up and it's about to start in June, right? Or July. Due to the history of the World Cup, how has that shaped the way people learn and talk about football in English today?
I think it has definitely made football more popular. So we have a lot of people who are not that much into football at a club level, so they don't watch the Premier League or something. Like in Germany, we call it Bundesliga, or what you have with the major soccer league. But as soon as it's the World Cup, everybody goes, oh. So, everybody peeks up and everybody goes, oh, I have to watch this. So you see people dressing up, having national flags on their cars in Germany. And that's quite unusual in our country. We don't do that normally. But during World Cup time, everybody does that. And I think that's also something that's definitely changing. But you see also a lot of criticism that people say it's too big, it's too blown up. It's happening in countries where you have no football culture and everything. So there's a big debate about those things as well. So I think it's not an easy thing. But for example, Scotland, which is the team that I will support during the World Cup, Scotland qualified for the first time ever for a World Cup since 1998. That's a long, long time ago. And Scott McTominay, who scored one of the most decisive goals, he's now his goal. This bicycle kick that he made.
Scissor
now
kick,
on a
yes.
mural on a building in Glasgow. They think about making for the first match, which I think is going to be against Haiti. No, Haiti or something. It's going to be like a bank holiday because nobody will go to work. Everybody will take a day off to watch that match because in Scotland it's such a rare thing. Germany, we usually qualify for the quarterfinals. Going home after the first round doesn't happen very often. Occasionally it does. But in Scotland, that's really a big deal. And it sort of like brings people together. So I think it's a lot of like social commitment involved as well.
Kirsten, I know we talked about this before. You got hooked when West Germany won the World Cup. And was it you or your dad who did somersaults in the living room? Could you talk to us about that and how you got hooked on the beautiful game?
Yes, so that was the World Cup in 1974. So Germany hosted this. And my dad did two things. So first of all, he bought a color TV set so we could watch that. And then when Germany scored a goal, he did somersaults. And that time I was like 5.5 years old. So I didn't really have a chance. So I got hooked into football. And that was actually my dad doing that. And we are a football crazy family too. So everybody, like my sister, my brother-in-law, my husband, we all support teams. We all support different teams. And when it's the World Cup, then we usually get together and support Germany unless they play Scotland or Sweden.
I love the last comments you were making as well, because language is a uniter and football is a uniter, right? And in a world that we're in right now, it's so divided. in a moment in time during the World Cup, you unite. You put away your differences, and language does that as well, right? And so having that combination with a sport and with a language, unification comes, even if it's for a brief moment. That community engagement and that unification, all for one and one for all, is a beautiful thing, and language plays a big role in that.
I fully agree. I think this is what makes English so popular, because even though it gets more complex when you want to speak it at a more advanced level with all the pronunciation exceptions and the tenses and everything, basically, let's say the first 2,000 words of English and the basic grammar rules are pretty simple to learn. So we noticed that when we had the World Cup in 2006 in Germany. So we had people from all over the place, and a lot of Germans went like, oh, I can't speak English, my English is not good. But then you had people in the coffee shops and in the bakeries and the supermarkets, and they get along with their 20, 30 words of English, helping people at the train station, helping people getting home, finding their accommodation, everything. And it worked. And suddenly it wasn't like, oh my God, there are all these foreign looking people and we don't know what they want and what they're doing here. It was all about like, oh, they're football supporters. They're like us. We get along. We help. And this is something you also see a lot when our clubs are traveling. So most of the time, the connection between the different nationalities is actually quite nice. There's a lot of exchange. There's a lot of not getting together, sharing ideas and everything. So it's not all that we are like, this is my club, this is your club, we have to hate each other. I think this is also something that changed a lot in football or soccer.
Excellent.
All right, we're going to just take a quick break, and then Mr. Canfield's going to come back. He's got to leave soon, and we're going to announce the winner, and then we'll get into some more questions. All right.